Okay. Well, here we are. The end of the month of August. Welcome. This is Ian Sousa, founder of Healing the Global Village, owner of Global Firewalk Institute, and the co-creator with Soulful Mondays. And wow. It is 11:06. At 11:11, we will have a moment of silence and prayer in honor of humanity's soul. And thank you for that. We'll hear the bell. And I have with me, she's going to introduce herself, but I can just tell you I've been to India with her and a couple other countries, Europe, and we have traveled, huh, my sister?
We certainly have.
And this is Mel, and I call her Melicious. She is my Melicious, and she is a teacher. She is my teacher. She has been my teacher, and one of a few. And so go ahead, Mel. Introduce yourself, and then when you hear the alarm, we just stop in the middle of it and have the prayer. I'll ring the bell.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anne. Thank you for inviting me on here, my soul sister, my soulful sister. So yeah, we have done a bit of traveling together. So we met through my teacher's school, the Somananda School. That's right, through the journey of Tantra and yoga. I now have my own school, the Alchemy of Living, that's affiliated with that. So I was booted out in a nice way, in a good way, to set up and start teaching on my own accord, with obviously my lovely partner Rock, which I believe some of you met on the last talk a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's Dr. Rock.
Dr. Rock, indeed. Dr.
And tell
Rock.
us your first and last name and where are you geographically?
So my name is Mel Harris, and we're based in Edinburgh, Scotland, although we teach all over the UK and normally, when things are not so restricted as they are at the moment, all over Europe and other places and other countries. So it's been a journey putting things online. And yeah, the Alchemy of Living is basically a school of authentic Tantra for modern living. How do we apply that to modern day life? And also a center for healing. So we provide Reiki and Tantric healing and Ayurvedic healing as well. So just gently growing and meeting the right souls that are ready to do their journey with us in the right time. That's where we are today. And my journey for getting here has been a very interesting one. It's I started off studying medical microbiology at university, so a very scientific background. Went into sales and marketing as I never wanted to see the inside of a laboratory again. I was far too sociable for that. So sales and marketing was, I did that for about 15 years internationally. So it taught me a lot about the psyche of people. But behind the scenes, I had a journey of wanting to heal relationships with various family members and a huge curiosity for spirituality, because from an early age, like yourself, Anne, I had the gift of being able to hear and see things that other people don't and communicate with those that have passed. So there was something driving me behind the everyday world of business, as they say. And so I started to explore things like hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and Buddhism, and then that led me into exploring shamanism a little bit, although it's a journey I'd love to travel more deeply with you. And then Reiki, and then mediumship and channeling, because that was coming in whether I wanted it to or not in my later years. And that finally led me to the door of Tantra. So I'll explain why and how in a moment with that. But I went from marketing into setting up my own consultancy for training organizations in leadership, team building, basically anything behavioral about the evolution of the individual, the team, and the leadership strategically as well. So I had that for about 15, 16 years before I found Tantra. And I was teaching and working with organizations like governments and FTSE 500, as well as small to medium-sized businesses, and the third sector, you know, social enterprise and community plays a big part, played a big part in my journey there. So I think my drivers were always looking for, why are we here? What's this all about? And how can we make things better? both from a spiritual perspective and from an everyday living perspective. So that's what that was the journey in. And then I found Tantra. I was stuck with my femininity. So I was already very much deeply into my spiritual journey. But I was...
Moment of silence. Thank you so much. I'll ring the bell. All of humanity's souls and the souls that have crossed. Huh? Yeah, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so 11/11 came, and you were just getting ready to talk about the Tantra.
Yeah. So I was just explaining how femininity, absolutely. So basically, as I was describing beforehand, I've been working in a very masculine, patriarchal environment, and with a lot of male leaders and that energy of male leadership. And like so many women today, to be an independent woman, we have started to mimic that role of how men show up in business, and it's very competitive, and it's very strong, and it's very harsh. And so I didn't realize, but I had actually been suppressing my feminine nature in a very big way, to the point of I actually, in a number of jobs before I took up my own consultancy, I'd had the experience of a lot of sexual harassment as well, and bullying in the workplace, not just from myself, but also from my colleagues. And what I realized I'd done, even my whole image, I changed my whole image. I'd actually cut my hair into a bob, I'd put glasses on, and I'd transferred into trouser suits. So, I mean, really, we're talking about building up very masculine energy, like don't mess with me, and you're not even aware of it. You've got the makeup on, you look very beautiful, but it's war paint, it's war paint. It's a presentation, a mask that you're putting on. And I just didn't realize that's what I'd done, because most of us wouldn't. Why would we know that we're doing that? What I did know was I was attracting men in because I was strong and good looking, but I wasn't holding on to them for very long. So they were disappearing off rapidly. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? I'm scaring them off. What's happening here? And of course, once you kind of understand about the feminine, the masculine, and its divine role, its divine play, and the importance of having that polarity, which is what we learn about in Tantra, then you start to realize, oh my goodness me, I was turning up in my relationships as a man energetically, Sure. And therefore they didn't really want to be in competition with somebody. They didn't want that. And I didn't realize that's what I was creating energetically in that space. So I was suffering. I was being successful in the business, and no wonder, very focused, very my masculine energy. But I was suffering. I was really suffering at the level of the feminine. And I had always been a very sexual woman. So it was very, very frustrating for me to try and find my way forward with that. And basically, I woke up, so you'll smile at this one, Anne, but I woke up 3 nights in a row in full body orgasm. And I just took that intuitively to say, this is my feminine screaming out for some attention, for some nurturing, for some loving, for expression, to be witnessed, to be seen. And by myself, not anybody else, by myself,
Yes.
So I typed in pure spiritual Tantra, because I had come across, in my journey of Buddhism and my journey of all the other modalities of spirituality, I'd obviously brushed shoulders with more of the New Age Tantra, the Neo Tantra. And for me, yes, I was wanting to explore sexuality, but I wanted it to be from really genuine, authentic teachings. And so when I brushed shoulders with it, I was just like, there's a lot of people here, not so balanced, not still on their journey, still trying to find their way forward with it. And being a scientist and being a Virgo, double Virgo, I need things to be exact and precise and from the source, from the core. So I typed in, pure spiritual tantra, and up came my teacher's school and Somananda, who you've already had on, obviously, talking as well. And immediately the energy from him was very, very solid on a spiritual level. And I could see very clearly that this man knew what he was talking about, and he was embodying what he was talking about. So I immediately phoned up and set myself on a course. And within 6 months of that first course, I had packed up my consultancy, which I'd had for 13 years or so. And I just stepped fully into the path of spirituality. But it's interesting because I was yearning to do that before I found this particular teaching. There was a yearning to go much deeper and just be able to embed myself in that as my way of life, rather than living a journey where I'm kind of talking to people on one thing and then I'm having to present a different element of myself on the other side within the business world. So that's what brought me to where I am and the founding of the Alchemy of Living.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so wow, so much here to feast, folks that are listening live, those that will watch this recording with the Alchemy of Living, Dr. Rock and Mel here, who is Tantrika Yogini. Yes, truly. And also to just clarify, because, a lot of people, when they ask me about, oh, so Tantra, you're a Tantra therapist, teacher, yes, a yoga teacher, yes. And when you type Tantra online, sometimes it even brings you into pornography. And just to clarify for the folks here, this is not the school that Mel or myself belong to. We belong to Somananda Tantra School. Somananda is a master head teacher, his wife, Lisa. So I always love to give a plug to the school, of course, because of the authentic teachers. And me as well, I've been doing Tantra for over 19 years now. And, it took me, I think, well, actually more than that now, because 4 years with Somananda School and 18 years prior to that. And I can tell you, I've been invited into several different schools, groups, places. And when I would vet, because I vetted Somananda Tantra School with Tiffany, who's my gatekeeper, and I love her dearly,
lovely
for about 4.5 months before I ever signed up. I asked multiple questions and had meetings with her because I needed to qualify the authenticity that this was not a neo-tantra, red tantra, people playing out their sexual dysfunction sideways on me. I'm not interested in that. And so that's why I walked away or never participated for 18 years into several schools and groups and places. And I realized, and I've had this conversation with some of our teachers that, well, like it took me 18 years to find you guys. Talk about a karma, my karma. And, really, when I think about that, it's been my purification. And
but Anne, there's always, as you know, there's always a right time, and just the journey before is not dismissed to that, in any shape or form.
Absolutely.
Same for myself. I mean, I've come to Tantra in my later years, and I hope that I can be an inspiration for other ladies that are not in their beautiful 20s and 30s with their perfect bodies and and free way of being. As we get older, we have more baggage that we carry, and we have more perspectives of what that kind of means. And
we're seasoned.
We're seasoned, exactly. But the beautiful thing with Tantra is it's like there's a whole rejuvenation process to that. So, even, taking it from that side. But I mean, the misunderstanding of Tantra is huge. And, I mean, I just had somebody the other day contact me and they go, oh, I'm doing a Tantra practitioner course. It's a 3-day course and I'm going to be a qualified Tantra practitioner. I'm like, wow, that's, this is an ancient science where, our teacher and our guru has been 30 years in the journey. I'm now 6-7 years into the journey. I mean, obviously I've been doing Buddhism and was practicing as a Buddhist and still am a Buddhist by the nature of what that means, long before that as well. So there's a whole journey. And as you're talking about this purification and this journey of karma, so like you, I could say, oh, I wish I'd found it earlier. And I do. I really do wish I'd found it in my earlier years. But in another way, there's a blessing because we have traveled through the world and we understand the struggles of life, and we understand the natural sufferings that come from our insecurities, our doubts, our fears, from the conditioning of the world around us. But we also bring to that our own essence, as you could always say, your personal medicine, your own unique medicine. And, that I can see very logically in my journey why and how I ended up here, and that all the parts of my journey were relevant, to market yourself and to, you have a school, you need to market the school. The whole big journey into personal development. I was training young people around the globe for 15 years as a hobby. Before I set up my consultancy, and that's why I set it up, because people were like, you're good at this, so you should do it. So, personal development was a huge part of, my journey, and understanding how, you need to translate people's thoughts and minds. And I also did psychology and psychotherapy, and that also comes into understanding where people are at and what's going on with them emotionally, and you need to actually understand that to teach the spirituality, because true authentic Tantra is not about sex. Don't get me wrong, there's this juicy, gorgeous element of what it does to you in your sex life. There is no doubt about it whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And it elevates it completely, as you know, my mama.
This is true.
But there is such a vast expanse to the tantric teachings. And the biggest thing that it does is it changes not only your level of perception, but your level of consciousness, because it's about energy and frequencies of energy. And what I have witnessed through my journey of doing psychotherapy and psychology and the talking therapies and NLP and hypnosis and all these things is you're working at a very limited level. You're still working with the mind on a certain level of consciousness. You're not elevating that consciousness. And if we want to break free from these habits, and they truly are embedded in us, and they actually come from a place of growth rather than swapping the mask, so to speak, putting one mask on for another, then we need to change that level of consciousness. And that can only be done by practices. And in this modern day society, everyone wants a quick pill. They want to take the pill and they want a quick change. They don't want to put any work in. They have a sense of entitlement, and that immediately is a problem. That immediately is blocking you from being able to change who you are and how you evolve. Because sadly, there was an old saying, nothing comes for free. And it's true. If you want to evolve and change, and it's a journey of evolution, it's not a journey of a quick pill and I have a right to have it. And everyone today seems to think that they can just, do a course for 2 or 3 days and they're already a teacher and a master, or they're already experienced in it, or they've already had elevated consciousness. And it's not, it's a journey. There are layers and layers to us to peel back and go through and work through. And we talk about the word purify because we're actually cleansing the energetic fields of our being, and we're purifying it. From our thoughts, our emotions, and our karma, our karma, not just from this lifetime, but from the journeys that we've done, and that's very, very profound. I can share one moment with you. I was doing a lot of work on the heart chakra. And as you know, people will say, oh, I'm elevated at the level of the heart chakra. Well, I can tell you, I've been at this for 6 years, and it's a journey that you go through, and the heart opens more and more, and you feel more and more connection. But you'll never just open, at the level of the heart, just like that from 2 or 3 days practice. It's a courage that you have to go through. You have to start removing the mask and the layers and looking yourself in the mirror. But the practice allows you to energetically change that consciousness and elevate it. And I remember one of my profound realizations was, this is very intimate actually if I share this with you, so I know I'm doing this on a live, but it's something that I experienced that was profound. And like many, many ladies out there, I have suffered abuse and rape, actually, in that journey. I'll say that because many ladies have. It's a very sad fact of life. Yeah. And I was going through deep, profound work on the heart chakra. And I woke up one morning, having obviously been on a journey traveling within the astral, which is we all do it whenever we go to sleep, whenever we're dreaming, we travel within the astral. But actually you can travel there consciously. This is one of the techniques that we learn in Tantra. And I came back from whatever journey I've been doing in that very deep sleep in the astral plane with a realization. And I just woke up and I was crying tears, not of sadness, but it was like a release of a knowingness. And in that journeying in the astral, in that dream state, what I had experienced was I suddenly became very, very clear, the deep knowingness in myself, that I had been the man in past lives, being the perpetrator of that. And I had also been the woman in past lives, receiving that abuse and on a number of occasions. So we have all been the man and the woman through our past lives, and we have all been the perpetrators and the victims of that. And this is a journey. It was like a moment of realization. And what I was realizing was that, this is a journey, and it's about releasing this, playing those roles, burning up that karma. And these are the kind of profound realizations that you have, and a change of consciousness to see why and how things happen, rather than it's me and it's all about me. It's understanding that you have been part of a greater journey, and you are part of a bigger universal consciousness.
Let me stop there for a second, because you have a lot that you've given us to chew on here. And so I want to first back up for a minute and say today is Monday, and this is Om Namah Shiva Day. Om Namah Shiva Day. Thank you so much. And also to say so many components here. And what I hear you saying also, and of course we know this, is that we can come at life, and even when I was referencing about looking for that 18 years of an authentic, I don't even think at that time in my life it was authentic as much as it was not from wound. Like I was looking for a school, a people, a person that had done their purification work enough that it wasn't going to be playing out sideways with some sexual dysfunction. And so when we take a look at that, and that is what you and I know in the school that has been teaching us, this is the difference between white and red Tantra. And the sublimation factor and the purification factor. And also to know for the viewers here, what Mel and I are talking about as well is, and I actually teach this in my Firewalk journey school, about the difference between ownership and victimology. And so and of course, long before I met Somananda Tantra School, I've been doing karma 30 years. And of course, Soma just has enhanced my knowledge of the expansiveness of where I can take the purification clearing into, the 5 bodies and so on, right? With the consciousness that you talk about and that evolution. And so the ownership here, to know that no matter what the situation, circumstance are in our lives, that we have the ability to really lean in and unpack and step forward into a conscious ownership. And what I call, and I teach, is tracking. Why now? Why here? Why did I call this piece in? And what is the level, without getting into, because I do past life regressions, right? And so without getting into the story about, the once upon a time, this life, I was this and that, but really tracking it from a level of karma consciousness that I reference in the way I teach it, is to just say, like, yes, I have an ownership. Yes, this situation, circumstance, life, my cancer, you talking about your rape, my cancer. I mean, this is like real life situation, circumstances that people are experiencing. And how do we step out of the victimology of this is happening to me and really lean in solid from a rooted place to say, I called this forth so that I can, and I've said this to Damananda, the other teacher, Soma's brother, karma for me has never been a punishment. Karma for me has always been a true gift of purification, because I have the capacity to own it. And then I've called it here forth for me to now unpack this wound, this sickness, this disease, this discourse, this disconnection, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, to now bring about a purification and a beautiful transformation and healing.
Exactly. I mean, this is the whole thing with authentic spirituality, not where someone goes off and goes on somebody else's course and copies it and then puts something out and mixes up different things, but authentic spirituality, which comes from somebody who has been truly enlightened, somebody who's reached truly enlightened states, who's actually accessed God consciousness fully, and they have come back and they have given a pathway to help you to go on that journey of transformation. So, this is why it's so important to have the genuine spirituality there. And then, because it is of an authentic path, you have the practice combined with the elevation of the consciousness. So the practice creates the elevation of the consciousness, but also just being with those teachers and just really starting to understand those perspectives, the teachings, as you're talking about karma, the main one, we're here on this journey to evolve. And that means neutralizing our karma. And once you understand karma, then you start to see everything so differently, in the world around you. Why you're doing something, you can bring that consciousness to, we still get stuck in our human messiness because we're human. That's the journey that we're on. And sometimes we still can be blind to it. It may take us a little longer for the bell to sometimes wake up to a certain situation, but we have much more clarity. And then when these things come in, we know exactly what to do, what to apply. I had a lovely gentleman that I know who's from the more new age community of Tantra. And he's actually a psychologist, and he turned up on my couch one day rather than me on his couch. And he's a friend of mine, and he was just saying, Mel, he was having a crisis in his tantric practices. And I just said to him, I said, what are you doing? So what are you doing to overcome this? What are the teachings that you have? What are the yogic practices that you have behind you, the meditations? And he said, well, I have no yoga. And meditation wise, I put on some lovely music and I listen to a poem from Rumi and I contemplate and I meditate. And I said, well, that's not really meditation in the nicest way, not from a true spiritual perspective. It's a contemplation. It can be a meditation if done with the consciousness from the heart or a higher chakra. And there was no yogic practice to be able to manage the energies, to manage the emotions, to manage the journey, to be able to actually purify, to move through. So it's all being done with the mind, and it's still stuck at the level of the mind. And the mind plays tricks on us, this rationality that we have. I'm coming from a scientific background, so I can say this, right? As an educated scientist and as a double Virgo, I can say this, the rational mind actually completely locks us into a box. It locks us into a box. And then we say, we'll only believe what we can see. What a load of rubbish. We do not see. Our ability, our frequency to take in resonances through the eyes, through the nose, the smell, the hearing is not what it can be. That. Animals can hear things at a higher frequency than we do. So we know, because of the work that we do, that you have extrasensory perception, so you can perceive things, you can read people's auric fields, you can read their mental thoughts, you can read their feelings and their emotions, and anyone can learn to do that. But we've been told that that's not real, that's not possible. The rational mind doesn't accept it because it's not been proven scientifically by modern science. And the amazing thing, of course, as you know, with Tantra, is that these guys already knew way back 5,000 years ago, they knew about quantum physics. They knew about working with sound to levitate and to elevate. You know, this is something that's just coming into science now that they're beginning to realize has the possibilities for it. So, the rational mind limits us, it cages us.
Yeah, big time. Even now, scientists, there's one scientist from the 40s talking about Bruce Lipton, right? So he's one that's talking about everything with him was your DNA is your DNA is your DNA. Now he's talking about actually, you know, that the heart is like the second brain. And, you know, it's amazing when we think about, you know, the teachings and what will, well, you know, it reminds me to what I'm in right now, which is a 21-day mental detox. And I've been doing this for several years, and I do, you know, anywhere from 3 to 4 a year, maybe sometimes 5, depends on what it is. And what that includes is actually, I don't want to say a withdrawal, but actually a coming home, a going inward and taking out some of that noise in the channel. I think Mel has frozen. Are you here, Mel? Okay, well, all right. Well, she's frozen. So while she's in a still frame, I'm gonna continue to talk here in reference to the 21-day mental detox that I'm currently in. And what that is, you know, taking out some of that time-robbing social media, taking out some of that content of conversation. And what are the content of conversations we're having? Okay, so we've lost Mel. She'll re-sign, and I'll let her back in. Meanwhile, we're going to keep on rolling, and I'm just going to touch base a little bit on this 21-day mental detox. So here's a little nugget for those listening. If you feel like you're bogged down, and what I'm listening and hearing many people speak about is the heavy, that there's a heaviness in the world, there's divide, and there's what we call a global comma, a global pause right now. And so in this time, welcome back. I continued on to talk about my 21-day mental detox. No worries. We're gonna, I'm just gonna finish this up here and say, you know, I knew you dropped off, and I said she'll come back on. But in this time where people's hearts are heavy and the world is penetrating at such a rapid rate in the social media, and especially now from having a lockdown, and we know as Tantra massage therapists, the skin is the largest organ, and that largest organ, when it gets to be massaged, is actually activating the Anahata, the Heart Chakra. And then, you know, we have the mask, which I've talked about here on Soulful Mondays. As I've said, folks, Soulful Mondays is real, raw, uncut. Nothing's cut. There's nothing pre-recorded here. But when we think about just this covering the face, the smile, and scientifically, we know that the neurons and the synapses are firing off oxytocin, and, you know, you can bring about a joy actually from a smile, sharing it amongst community. And as somebody who has been, you know, the shamans will say, the grandmothers, indigenous grandmothers I've studied with for years, and the elders that have mentored me since I was a little child. And many of what I teach, all of what I teach has been passed down from indigenous cultures. So when you talk about that authenticity, really, folks, that's really important. Like what you're studying, to know where the lineage of that study comes from. That's always been important for me. And of course, I was raised like that. I am an elder in that culture, and many of the elders that have mentored me. But when we talk about all that's going on in the world, if I can say, and I want to also ask Mel before we end, what's her gift or giveaway to the listener here? And what I want to say is really give yourself. And I was just sharing this with Rock before Mel and I came on. It's amazing when I consciously chose about 2.5 weeks now, I'm into the 21-day mental detox. And folks, let me tell you, when you start the purification process, it's messy. It's messy. It's work. It's not like, oh, I'm in a 21-day mental detox. This is like so, no, it's not like that. So for me, this has been a tough one. And amazing when I pulled myself out of the groups, off the social media, set my attention on the intention to what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, get in, get out, and then really claim my time back into the level of productivity consciously to how I want to move and what I want to conversate with people and what kind of content of conversation I'm having and what I'm putting in my mouth and doing my sauna and swimming and detox and yoga and meditation and all the other tricks that I have to do on a daily basis, truly to level out this phantasmagoric mind that wants to just keep creating this story. It's been amazing how much I have gained back and how much that, you pick this phone up and it just is like, it sucks you into another whole realm and you come back and it's like 2 hours later, go, what have I done? Where have I been? So folks, put the brakes on. Put the brakes on. And, I believe very much that if we have a shaming container, you won't do any great works there. So you really need to have a container for yourself that is more of ownership versus compliance. Because we know, and I know also from the medical and from the corporate model, that compliance, and this is what I'm seeing on Soulful Mondays with many of my guests, that compliance driven. And, I just want to pinpoint that you talked about that, Mel, about being on that road and being on that path and leading all these men in the corporate world and everything and realizing like, yeah, it's just not sustaining my soulful self and that level of consciousness. Okay, we can't hear you. Yeah. Nope, not yet. Can't hear you yet. Nope. Mm-mm. Okay. So maybe you'll have to
try that.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Okay,
Again,
sorry.
This is where we get to say real raw, uncut, and we're live, and there's no filter process. So welcome to Soulful Mondays here. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing. So,
it was unplugging to get back online. It's fine. So, okay, yeah, absolutely. Not only that, but this is going into the feminine and masculine, but this patriarchal attitude where we have lost. What's basically happened is going back, already thousands of years, we started to lose the respect for women in the journey that men took over. And, if we go back to the ancient tribal times and we look at the Mesopotamian times, and with all your tribal journey and shamanism, the woman was seen as the channel for the divine. She gave birth to life and she was revered as the life giver. And she was revered to have wisdom with that. And at a certain level, the patriarchal society came in and took over that. And actually, they couldn't handle the power of women for some reason, for whatever reason it's going to be. And really, we know that that's a spiritual purpose and a spiritual reason from a side that people maybe you want to explore more. There's obviously the dark and the light side. Everything is light, but there's a dark and light side. And that came in, and basically women became more of breeding stock, or of working and being a breeding stock, rather than actually being the equal. And it's not equal as in, we have to do the same things. It's equal as in respect, value, and importance and necessity. It's important to have the feminine in her empowered self, and it's important to have the masculine in its empowered self, good, balanced, pure, clean, and spiritual. When you have the feminine and the masculine at this level, then we have harmony. At the moment, the world has gone into negative masculinity. Women have walked down that path as well. We've moved away from nurturing. We've moved away from holding safe containers. And I don't mean container as in something holding you in, but creating the space that's safe for people to evolve, to express themselves, to discover themselves, and to have the kind of guidance that allows them to blossom and nurture. And that's gone. And now we've moved into a society where we are so dependent on the governments, on the organizations of society, that we've lost our sovereignty, we've lost our freedom, and we don't realize it. Most of us don't realize it. So some of us do, but some of us don't. And, there's an excitement for more, more technologies, more being able to have things as a consumer just to take and throw away. But we've become absolutely dependent on that society. What happens, if suddenly the food collapses, or the global market financially collapses, or any of these things? What will people do? People will be in trouble, and we've moved away from self-sustaining communities that look after each other, that take care of each other. I don't know about you, Anne, but I grew up in a village in the English countryside here, and everyone helped each other in that village. Other adults looked after the kids, everyone took turns with things. And there was a real sense of community. That's how I grew up. Now
that's how I grew up too.
Yeah,
I was raised in a village.
Yeah, exactly. And now everyone's being fed into these cities, and in that city, I mean, even when I first came to Edinburgh, I knew everyone in my stairwell in my apartment block. Now you're lucky if people say hi to you as you go up and down the stairs. People have become very insular. Technology, lack of community, this demand to be successful. And it's interesting because you gave me the title of the talk, which was, purpose in life. And it's very interesting because I think I'd like to go to that if I may. Yeah. Because basically it's very interesting. You start off your journey in life and it's about achievement. Oh my goodness, is it about achievement? When I was growing up, you were expected to get married and have 2 kids. And it would be nice if you got a university degree, because women were just going out to do that at that time. So it's about status, and it was about your role that you were meant to play, and it's a clearly defined role. And then as I was growing up, women got into business much more, and it started to be a thing to have your own business, or to be, entrepreneurial, and for a woman to have status in business. So that was my generation. And so suddenly you get lost in this sense of achieving. It's very, very interesting. And you're sold in the personal development world. What's your vision? What's your legacy? What's the legacy you're going to leave? And it's very interesting. I was just asked to write a chapter in a book recently, which I've just finished, on legacy. What does it mean? And I was sitting in the room and all the ladies were saying what their legacy is. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to explain there's a good thing to it because it's part of the journey of evolution. But I sat there from my spiritual perspective and I was like, because actually everything is about making your mark in the world, which is actually very ego orientated and actually creates huge stress and suffering. Yeah, because you're judging yourself by the outside world, and you need to be seen to be good. You need to be seen to be successful. You need to be seen to be doing the right thing in the right way for people. And it's a bit like going to church and putting the money in the alms box, because you're seen at church and you're putting the money in the alms box. Are you actually going into church and praying genuinely on your own when it's not time for the mass or whatever? Are you going in because your heart draws you into the church? So it's a bit like this on your journey, what is actually meant to be for you in this journey? What's meant to be your inner, journey? And from a spiritual perspective, whether it's Tantra or Sufism or Buddhism, it's self-realization. It's remembering your soul self, your divine nature. And when we do that, we actually find freedom, contentment, and happiness. And yes, you're still, as you say, living the struggles and going through these purifications, but you know, and you understand what's going on. You can address it. You don't have to have fear. You can, you know, you might suffer a bit. You might have to go through a bit of pain as you let go, because it's actually about letting go of the desire for outcomes, for having a result, for this ever striving, achieving. You're on a hamster wheel. Most people are on a hamster wheel, and they don't stop and spend a moment with themselves. And this new technology, as you're saying, even I'm guilty as a charged, because we're online now. The last 18 months, everyone's had to be online. And like you, we get pulled into the phones and we lose time. And when you're somebody in spiritual practice, you just see how much that eats away at you. And most people are not aware, you know, they're being hypnotized in and away from their souls, away from their inner journey, away from time to contemplate, to be, and to actually see and feel what you really need for you and for your loved ones around you.
Yes, and also, you know, to bring that, really dial that in, when we have the ability to do the purification work. And, you know, I don't know anybody in my life, not master teachers, shamans, grandmothers, that's exempt from impurities. You know, we're all, and especially because of the global communal penetration that's coming in at us. When I think about like this mental detox I'm in right now, it's not, I don't feel like I'm just mentally detoxing my stuff. I feel like it's like this extra load because of what synergetically is going on globally. And then also, many of the nuggets here, folks, that Mel has said, spoke about here, I've shared. Remember this, and this is the attention on the intention for Soulful Mondays, that you can live in the world and you can be in the world, but you don't have to be worldly. And you can obtain a beautiful home and whatever it is that you want to live in your own comforts, but you don't have to prostitute yourself and sell your soul. Yeah. And I'm not talking about sex here. I'm talking about like, what is it? And when I think even for myself of 18 years before I found Somananda, and I look at that journey, it was never from a suffering place. For me, it was from a clarity of, I'm not going to sell myself out. Mm-hmm. I'm not selling my soul. I know that the right Tantra school will come to me. And I just practiced my discipline and, you know, did what I did in the way that I was doing my tantric practice until I found the right teacher. And the right teacher for me was that authentic school, that authentic practice that was taking that sexual energy and able to sublimate it into a Christ cosmic consciousness for my own healing, for my own purification. And as you said, in dream time, if you can have a full body orgasm, well, amazing, right? So, and truly, you know, folks, so I just want to say, like, Mel has given so much here of her skill, her knowledge, her wisdom, her life experience, and the long journey that she's towed. So I really just want to thank you for your time, your essence here, and who you are, and what you have to offer to the world. And you know, I feel like in a time in the world, and, you know, Soulful Mondays, and it's interesting, I had a teacher on, I think he was my third guest, and he was saying, you know, like Soulful Mondays, it's kind of a nice terminology. And as I said to Soma and many others, that, look, if I can use this phrase, Soulful Mondays with the Sousa, and bring guests that are, as I've said to my team, I'm not looking to just talk to like-minded people. I want to talk to everyday people that are in mundane life world, because I find and feel that that is part of my global mission and my communal responsible choice and my personal is to assist and awaken humanity's soul. That's why we have the moment of silence at 11:11 and what 11:11 means. And I feel blessed in my own life as a village child like yourself to also have the mentorship from my elder of 35 years now. She's loving these YouTubes, watching them. But really, if folks, if you're looking for something, what I suggest is go out to nature, sit your butt on the earth, be barefoot, and let your toes in the grass and just connect with your soulful self. Come home. And so, Mel, what might you offer as a simple little process and connection to either meditative, yogic, or a level of awakened consciousness for the person watching here before we end this session?
Well, we have just done exactly what you were saying, and we've just spent a week in the Scottish Highlands, and everyone always thinks it rains here nonstop, but normally, yes, but it was glorious sunshine, and it was amazing, as you say, just to be in nature barefoot, but take that time to sit and to consciously become aware of yourself, and if you can, treat yourself to a course in learning these authentic teachings. It's like you can just do a very simple process, sit and be, but there are some astounding and amazing meditations that you can learn that allow you to actually adjust the consciousness that you're at in that moment in time, as Anne knows. So, you can focus just on your heart. You can place your hands on your heart. It's a very common one. The right hand first, the left hand over the top, sitting with your spine straight. There's no meditation unless it's vertical. Yeah, and then just closing your eyes and just breathing in and having your concentration on the heart chakra. It sits right between your two breasts in the center of your chest, just outside, and you can just breathe into that center and just keep your focus on the heart, and you can perceive a small white light starting to glow. And as you relax into that area with each breath that you're taking, just allowing that white light to grow and grow. And as that white light starts to expand in the center of your chest, become aware of the energy, the consciousness of compassion, of kindness, of tenderness, of forgiveness. And allowing that white light to grow and expand throughout your entire being. Keeping your concentration at the level of the heart. And as the white light fills your entire being with each breath that you take, so just imagine that this white light is permeating through your skin into your aura around you, embracing you fully. And just take a few moments, feeling the lightness, the kindness, the tenderness of you. And then gently opening your eyes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Mel. And for the viewer that experienced that little meditation right there, please know you can go there often. Please do continue on with several of the topics that were spoken here. And, let's tell us, where are you on? Do we have access to Facebook?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we're at Mel Harris Living on Facebook
Beautiful.
and Instagram. And the website is www.alchemyofliving.co.uk. So our website is there. And yes, if you're interested in talking more with us, we are just about to start in a week's time our Yoga Level 1 online. So if you're interested in learning about Tantra Yoga, we're starting that in a week. We have an online course as an introduction, Taste of Tantra online and live in the UK, but it's also online at the same time as a live course. It's on the 11th and 12th. And we also teach online massage. So if you're wanting to get that feeling of touch and connection, and you have a partner or a friend, even, it doesn't have to be a love partner to have touch and connection. We also have an online 2-day Tantra massage course that's coming up as well. And also I provide coaching one-to-one for people that are wanting to work with us. Obviously, we do therapies remotely as well, and live in Tantra, in Reiki, in astral healing. So any of those, if any of that touches you, or you want to explore anything more, you just want to have a conversation, then, get in contact with us through the website. I'll be delighted to speak with you.
Beautiful. Yes. And this is also live on YouTube, in Sousa's Soulful Monday YouTube. And my team and I will also then follow this through and post this on social media. I want to thank our viewers that are here live and those that will watch this later. I want to thank Mel so much for your gifts, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your continued perseverance, and your knowingness to move between the worlds of modernity and indigeneity, and bringing your shine to the world. Thank you. Continue to be a beacon, my sister.
Thank you, Anne. Can I say one thing to you? You were talking about, yes. You were talking about this journey of the warrior, of facing it. And I was just thinking how beautiful Soulful Monday bring you into your soul, bring you into your connection of your soul, but also transform that karma through the power of fire. It couldn't be more perfect. You forge yourself through the fire. The phoenix rises from the fire, as Anne says. So thank you, Mama, my lovely sister, for your energy and your fire.
Yes, thank you. Truly. So I'm grateful to be on this journey with you, and all of you viewers. Please know that we are here to be of love and service. I know that is my calling in life, to be of love and service. Sometimes it's messy, and sometimes it's a little consciousness of fire and refined. So blessings, and stay on a minute, Mel, and thank you. Journey well.